plays out there. But the thing is that it's the market's just kind of teetering on news about what's going to end up happening with Nvidia. However, with other stocks, we did see Walmart bounce back after a pretty rough trading session after it reported its earnings, and down quite a bit as well. And Marvel earnings is out as well. Yes, that's going to be another big one. AppLovin, user 728. I'm doing my deep dive on AppLovin this week. I'm going to be posting a long form content video on YouTube and on Facebook talking about AppLovin and seeing if this is going to be if it's a good potential investment. So still more to come on that. Still looking into AppLovin. Still kind of interested in the story that's going on with AppLovin. Is this something that just got beaten up too bad? Is this a massive market overreaction as a result of their latest earnings? I don't know. We'll see. Opinion on the iRent stuff. Scotch, not a huge fan of it. Not a huge fan of it. What price do I think CoreWeave is going to? I'll probably exit my CoreWeave short position if it dips below $70 a share. I don't imagine that's going to happen immediately in the near future. It very well could happen though. So with CoreWeave, we could see some movement that would, whether it's an event-driven thing, Nvidia earnings could move it in the wrong direction for me. But below $70 a share, that's probably what I'm going to get out of it. Am I hanging on to Nvidia? Probably will. We'll probably see an earnings and we'll probably see a profitability beat for Nvidia. Nvidia's it's likely going to be a good day. Here's the thing that's going to matter about Nvidia though. What's going to matter on Wednesday is what their guidance says. So it's what Jensen Huang's words are when discussing what the results are and what they think the next couple of quarters in 2027 are going to look like. That's going to have an impact on memory. It's going to have an impact on AI companies. It's going to have an impact on neoclouds. It's going to have an impact on energy, semiconductors, all of it. So all of those things are things that people need to watch out for. And Nvidia is basically the keystone to the bridge that is the bull market that we're in today. Personally, I'm holding CoreWeave calling in the future. My entry is $70 a share. Nice. What did I say about AppLovin? Sorry, showed up late. Roan, I'm going to be doing a deep dive on AppLovin. That's going to be coming out later this week. We'll probably end up seeing that on Thursday is when I'm going to have that deep dive video out. So as far as AppLovin's concerned, I don't have too strong of an opinion on it at the moment. What do I think about Microsoft? Microsoft is my favorite hyperscaler at the moment. If I had to pick between Microsoft, Google, Meta, Oracle, or Amazon, I would pick Microsoft. I like Microsoft the most because I think they have the highest quality streams of revenue, and I think that their guidance was the best with respect to what the future is going to end up looking like for Microsoft. And I also think that they're taking less risks than companies like Oracle and companies like Meta are with respect to off-balance sheet activities. Maybe a more obscure question. Thoughts on the Fed and potential impact on the market? I mean, the Fed's always going to have an impact on the market. The Fed is always, whatever the monetary policy is of the United States, it's going to, that has an impact everywhere. The chairman of the Federal Reserve did say, though, that the market is doing the work for the Fed with respect to containing inflation. And with respect to rates and how they're looking, I mean, we can go take a quick glance at where rates are, and I would imagine that they're probably similar to last week. The market did not react well to the U.S. Treasury Secretary's words as well. Any thoughts on Gap stock? Sultan Faith, I don't have really any thoughts on Gap. Yeah, the U.S. Treasury yield's still sitting at about 4.7%. So we're basically where we were on Thursday and Friday last week. So kind of a tight spot for the bond markets, and the U.S. is really ramping up its buyback efforts in order to keep yields down. We'll see, though. Yeah, so we'll see. And we're at that 5.2% mark with long-term U.S. bonds, namely the 30-year. The 30-year. What do I think of Marvel, Maddie? I think Marvel's good. Here's the thing, though. Marvel, Marvel is priced at a premium relative to its competition, namely Broadcom. But there are things to like about Marvel. Its price, though, is a bit high for me relative to its earnings. It's not. I think that there are good choices out there that are not Marvel that could still serve an investor well. So when it comes to the semiconductor space, and that's part of the AI supply chain, there are great choices. Marvel could be considered a good choice, a great choice even. I need to see a really strong bull case for it, though, to buy stock in Marvel as opposed to something else. Are you in the healthcare sector? Any opinions in this time on HIMS and Tempest AI? Lala, I'm not. With respect to HIMS, they should be making more money. And they've got some pretty big regulatory hurdles that are a problem. As far as Tempest AI, not familiar with them. And thoughts on Oracle? Victor, I'm not a fan of Oracle. Oracle's $122 billion in debt and OpenAI credit risk are a problem. It appears cheap on paper at, a 24.5 PE. But the thing is that it's a bit concerning because of the credit risk, and it did get downgraded too. That's also another thing as well. Andrew Amsite, Hausman, do you have a ticker for them? Paul says Palantir Technologies. What about Palantir? There's things to like about Palantir. The fundamentals of Palantir have been extremely strong. The earnings have been the market has priced in perfection for Palantir. That is, I think, putting on rose-colored glasses, in my opinion. And I think that because of that, it's a bit expensive, at least in my view. Just because you're paying a pretty hefty premium for that, and 151 times earnings is a lot. It's a lot. Definitely a lot. AMST is AmSite. AmSite Inc. Okay. Oh, really smart microcap play. Hausman, honestly, I really don't pay attention to microcaps even this small. I mean, this is less than a $10 million market cap. It's a software company, engages in the development of B2C and B2B AI-driven solutions, leverages proprietary AI infrastructure, offering cutting-edge applications to both individual and professional needs. Mobile healthcare app. No, I'm going to pass. Definitely going to pass. Like ServiceNow after last earnings. Things weren't bad. They weren't bad. I think ServiceNow is a hold at this price. In my view, I think if we break out above 135 a share, we could probably it would probably be a good time to take profits. Why are stocks going down? What happened? Well, Edgar, not all of them are going down. Thoughts on Celsius? AEY Celsius is they've got some problems. Celsius is the last earnings guidance was a little concerning. This movement in price is even more concerning because they did have a bit of a dip here. It was already priced in going to the earnings. Results weren't great, but they rebounded pretty quickly. And essentially what ended up happening is right here, they were at around a 50 to 70 PE, somewhere in that range. Now they're trading at 150, 151. This is an extremely expensive stock relative to its earnings, and this upward price movement in price is in no way justified. To be honest, there could be a good case to short Celsius, honestly, if you look at some of the technical factors, and the fundamentals don't really look that much better either. There was not great guidance on Celsius, so I don't understand what the market likes so much about it. And then as far as CDM says Broadcom, Avgo, no, I don't. Not a fan of Broadcom, especially after what Google announced with Marvel Technologies. It's kind of a bit of a concerning situation there, especially for Broadcom. There are better companies than Broadcom. I wouldn't say it's bad. I'd be willing to listen to somebody's bull case for Broadcom, but I'm not a big fan of it at this price. What about Bloom Energy? Ollie, it's still expensive. It's expensive. And Dados, thank you for the roses. Appreciate it. With respect to Bloom Energy, It's extremely expensive. I like the niche. I like what they're trying to accomplish. I think it's an interesting spot to be in. But I don't see it breaking out above $300 a share anytime soon. Obviously the second quarter was insanely good, but we'll see. And Zukin on YouTube says, "How are you, man? What do you think about this, about CLS?" Zukin, thanks for joining in. We can check out CLS. Absolutely. Celestica Inc. I can't say I haven't looked at these guys recently. Operates two segments: advanced technology solution and connectivity and cloud. Range of products, manufacturing, supply chain services, including design, development, new product introduction, engineering, all that kind of stuff. Oh, wait. Yeah. I remember Celestica. Yeah, you know what? Zukin, I do remember actually looking at these guys. There was some promise here. There were some interesting things going on with them. I believe I said I would add them to my short list or my watch list. I don't think I did, so I probably need to do that. Fundamentals look interesting to it as well. Can you check out TTWO? It's GTA 6. George, it's no secret. I'm a big bull on Take-Two Interactive. Very bullish on Take-Two Interactive. Very bullish, despite the weird hacker news, or someone evidently is going to leak some things going on. Not a great day for Take-Two Interactive. I'm still a huge fan of the stock at this price. Very, very bullish. TSM better than Avgo? I think so, yeah. Justin, what's going on, man? You see Pelosi got 15,000 more shares of Bloom. Interesting. Pretty insane. Danny says, what about Nebius? Danny, I'm not a fan of Nebius. Nebius, NeoClouds in general, but especially Nebius, especially CoreWeave. Nice. That's actually, that's good. I took some pretty big short positions on Nebius last week, made some nice profits from them. It's still massively overvalued at this price. $210 a share is way too much for this company. Despite the fact that they're winning contracts and, everyone likes to talk about backlogs, nobody reads the fine print on what a backlog means. Nobody reads the fine print on how the company defines remaining performance obligation. This is not a good stock. You trade options, call options on any stock? AMG, not this week or last week. No. I purchased Bloom at $212 US per share. Should I sell? Datos, you need to go back and look at why you decided to buy shares in the company at 212. What was your thesis for getting in at 212? And if your thesis no longer applies or is no longer a good thesis to invest in this stock, then maybe, yeah. But if you're unsure about, it's like, oh, okay, I bought it at 212. Now it's sitting at about 203. Do I sell and get out? Well, why did you invest in the first place? Will NVIDIA bring the market down after earnings? It could. It could. NVIDIA has what will end up happening on Wednesday, and of course I'll be live streaming the results. What will end up happening on Wednesday will have massive implications for the rest of the market. Massive implications for the rest of the market. Thoughts on AppLovin? Zion, I'm working on my deep dive on AppLovin right now. What ended up happening in its last quarterly earnings report could have been a massive overreaction by the market. Really could have been. And I'm doing my research into that right now. Life Trader says Target been holding since 103. Those are nice profits on Target. Very nice profits on Target. Consider it. I would consider it. What's happening on Wednesday? Luke, NVIDIA is releasing latest quarter earnings. Any idea on Nike? Sultan, I'm a fan of Nike. It has had very stiff resistance at around the $38 to $39 price level. It is not a popular stock right now. A lot of people don't like Nike. I do. I think it's decent value for this price. I like the management team. It's going to take things. It's going to take time to turn things around. You can't rebuild Rome in one day. But it's had very stiff resistance. The stock does not want to go below $38 a share. And that's why I'm a fan of it. That's why I'm a fan of it. Him's down 9% today. Thoughts? I never got into it. I wasn't a fan to begin with. Why am I a fan of Nike? There's countless shoe companies now. Billo, I'm a fan of Nike because I think that the IP moat that it has is incredibly good. It's showing signs of growth in all of its segments except China, where it's having some inventory turnover problems. And they're reverting back to their wholesale relationship model instead of that disastrous direct-to-consumer model they had. So that's why I like Nike, and I think that I'm confident they'll be able to pull it off. You think I should wait to buy until after Wednesday? That's for NVIDIA earnings. That's a tough call. It's a tough call. You need to do your homework. Thoughts on Wing? Live Trader says thoughts on Wing. Is this Wingstop? Yeah. For what I believe, I think this is a franchise model. It's expensive, but it deserves the premium valuation. As far as the fundamentals look for Wingstop, let's go look here really quick. The growth looks. This is good growth. And a quarter-over-quarter basis is pretty impressive too. The reason why we probably have liabilities massively, it says debt to assets 217%. That's worth looking into. Usually, this is because of a large. It's a large shareholders deficit that carries over. Like you go look at McDonald's balance sheet and that's the same thing. That's a bit of a problem though, and probably worth looking into. Why liabilities are 2.2 times assets. That's an issue. Revenue and profitability look fine, but it's the balance sheet that I would be a little bit concerned about with respect to Wingstop. Is Nike a good entry point now, or should I wait for the pullback? It hasn't. It's not pulling. It didn't. We have very strong resistance at $38 a share for Nike. I have not seen any technical factor that points us breaking out below $38 a share. And thank you guys for the hearts. Appreciate it. OKLO. It's an interesting nuclear play, but not my favorite. This is pretty big movement though. 5.6%. What happened? Reported its first revenue and achieved a reactor milestone, but faces significant challenges. High cash burn rate and market skepticism. This is why I like Constellation a little bit more. I think that Constellation has a bit more infrastructure and a better recurring revenue base to support the business overall. I would pick CEG, Constellation Energy, over OKLO for a play. There could be better. There's probably more potential upside with OKLO though in the longer run. What do you think about Grab? Undervalued? Grab would be an interesting play to hold on to if Uber buys it. So if Uber ends up buying Grab, that would probably be at a very premium valuation to $350 a share. With respect to where Grab's at now, though, the fundamentals of Uber are a little bit better. So I'm not super stoked on Grab, but it's not a horrible idea to hang on to shares in case they get bought, which could be cool. What site? This is Yahoo Finance right here, and then this is Barron's. This is Barron's where we can go look at, financial performance, and then this is Yahoo Finance right here. What about Micron? Yeah, Micron. Oh, yeah. OBS just disconnected. Okay, am I good? All right. Yeah, sorry about that, y'all. Okay, there we go. And for those of you guys watching on YouTube, I think I just disconnected, but I'm back. I should be back. Yeah, so Micron down 5% today. Obviously not great. So here's the main thing. I think with on Wednesday we could see similar amounts of movement with Micron depending on what Nvidia reports. The thing is with Nvidia, if they have an earnings beat and a revenue beat, which I expect they will, they've done that the last 13 quarters in a row. I would imagine that we'll probably see Micron down a little bit, but that would be because of guidance and not necessarily because of the actual numbers themselves. Jensen Huang might say something like, we expect to see some more supply chain difficulties or something like this. or, supply continues to outstrip demand, that could be good for Micron stock. So we'll see. It depends on guidance. That's right, D. I agree. What do you think about McDonald's and Oracle? OSSI, McDonald's is decent. Their international growth isn't bad. Oracle, I'm avoiding. Not a fan of Oracle. Thoughts on Intel or AppLovin? Nomad, with respect to Intel is too expensive for me, even at this price, even after the correction that we've seen over the last month. I don't know why my chart's doing this. There we go. Yeah, like this over the last couple of weeks, Intel has definitely corrected a bit. Still too expensive for me at this price. Very long term, they could turn things around. But we'll see. With respect to AppLovin, I'm still doing my homework on that. There could be something there with AppLovin. What about Meta? Undervalued Mag 7 but high CapEx. Meta's off-balance sheet activities are concerning. It's if I could rank all 5 hyperscalers, meaning Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Oracle, and Meta, I'd put Microsoft in first place, Google in second, Amazon in third, Meta in fourth, Oracle in fifth. Meta on paper looks cheap. They're going to have some very, very big operating lease liabilities coming up. And there's a lot of things to be worried about, especially with what they're doing. I don't trust Mark Zuckerberg's strategic vision. This is the same guy who thought the metaverse was going to change the world. And we all know how that turned out. It was a big joke. It was a buggy, stupid mess. So yeah. Yeah, not a fan. Thoughts on Toyo, please? Toyo Co. Limited. What about him, Maddie? Small micro cap in Japan, $200 million. They're in the solar space. Upstream production of wafer and silicon, midstream of solar cell, downstream production of photovoltaic modules, and other stages of the solar power supply chain in Asia and the U.S. It could be interesting. I'd have to do more homework on them. Usually micro caps that are this small, I don't pay a ton of attention to. And I'd also kind of have to look at volume to see what sort of open interest looks like as far as actually getting movement in the share price. We'll see. Not a huge fan of it. Why did the $950 billion current account at the Fed move bond yields today? Alex, are you talking about buyback operations that were announced last week? Or something else? As far as Rocket Lab is concerned, too much execution risk for me. I think it's cool what they're doing. Yeah, and they've gotten beaten up pretty badly today. They're about break even on the month. At $68 a share, not a huge fan of the price. Just as Pelosi bought $1.5 million of Intel today too. Nice. How do you normally hedge my call options? Well, my buying or selling calls. And if I'm buying calls, then usually it depends on the stock. I mean, you can enter like, a debit or credit spread position to hedge it. And if I'm selling covered calls, then probably holding something else. Nebius overvalued, still room to run. Overvalued, massively overvalued. Rocket Lab, already answered Rocket Lab. Rocket Lab is too much execution risk. Not a fan of Rocket Lab. Why isn't Reddit moving? Is it not moving today? Where's Reddit at? Basically flat. I don't know. Don't know, Soren. Massively undervalued, though. Very bullish on this stock. Reddit has fantastic fundamentals, a solid business on its hands, and a lot to love, especially about its revenue growth, which has been extremely strong. There's tons to like about Reddit at this price. I'm a huge fan of Reddit at this price. Tesla? I don't buy Tesla. I don't buy automotives. Not a fan of Tesla or automotives. Do you think copper is a good commodity to invest in? Callum, honestly, that's not a bad idea. I don't know. I haven't thought about how to invest into copper when it comes to like precious metals, that kind of stuff. I'm on gold. Gold is a macro hedge that I always carry on my books. We're sitting, wow, nice. Yep, 4,700 per troy ounce today. Solid. But copper probably isn't a bad move either. We think about hyper liquid. Probably in a worse spot than Strategy Inc. is, and Strategy Inc. really isn't in a great spot. I think the coin that they're trying to push through their fund is less reliable than Bitcoin is. Well, what's going on, man? What stock am I most bullish on? Probably Reddit right now. Very bullish on Reddit. Huge fan of it. Good evening. I think Microsoft is the easiest play right now. It just looks obvious to reach at. I agree. Microsoft is a fantastic business right now. My favorite hyperscaler by far. Take-Two worth it? I think it is, yeah. Thoughts on FCX? Freeport McMoran Inc. This sounds like copper. Okay. The mining of mineral properties in North America, South America, and Indonesia. The company primarily explores for copper, gold, molybdenum, silver, and other metals. Interesting. So here's the thing. Gold miners and silver miners I don't really go after that much because the value's in the commodity and not the actual business. When it comes to copper, though, I'm not, to be honest, I don't know if there's a futures market for copper. I would imagine there probably is, but something being easily accessible to retail investors may be difficult. There could be a copper ETF. I'd rather get that. I'm more interested in the futures or the ETF or whatever is directly exposed to the commodity as opposed to the business. Now, as far as their performance, looks like they're profitable. They've had a 15% rally in the last week, which is good. Interesting. This is expensive, though. For a mining stock at 38 times trailing 12-month earnings, that's expensive. So I'd have to see what my expectation is in the increase in the price of copper. But, I'm not a huge fan of mining stocks in general. Would I buy Intel right now? No, I would not. Did you check OKLO already? Yeah, Maddie, we did. I think Constellation's a better play. With copper, you indirectly invest in the microcontrollers. You indirectly invest into a lot of stuff with copper, and copper is an extremely valuable substance at the moment. With construction, with microchip development, all that kind of stuff. I know that copper is a closely watched one. Grid infrastructure, good play. Depends on the ticker, Alex. Which one are you looking at? What about Moderna after that crazy week it had last week? Dang, we're still sitting at $140 a share on Moderna. Wow. So I guess the market thinks this is the real deal. With respect to that vaccine, I guess those trial results were pretty promising. Yeah, I mean this is kind of wild. It may not come back down to $80 a share for a while. Royal Bank of Canada, hear me out. Listening, Jack. Is Take-Two worth it? Yes, I think it is. TTW worth it now? Yes, I think it is. Royal Bank of Canada's earnings this week? Okay. I'm sure, is it down today just because of the tariff news that came out? Nope. Basically flat. I mean, it's a bank. We're not are we going to see insane movements on this stock price? This year we have, actually. It's had a really good year. Interesting. Bit of a correction, though. All Canadian banks have earnings this week. Yeah, it sounds like it is. So like Scotiabank, RBC, probably some others. Silver commodity at these prices for long term. It's a good macro hedge. It's a solid macro hedge, like gold. Can we check Melly? Yeah. Mercado Libre. My thing with Mercado Libre is this. Um, they have an incredible business on their hands. There are some strong fundamentals with Mercado Libre, but scaling the growth has been a challenge, especially from the profit end of things. It's got a bit of a premium valuation too, in my view. We're at 53x trailing 12-month earnings. A little expensive for something like this. And if we look at performance, it's been good. Like, financial performance of this company has been solid year over year. That's really good revenue growth. The problem is that when you're when you're basically a retailer, margins are going to be really thin and profitability is going to be a challenge. We're sitting at about a 4.5% margin, which isn't terrible for them. So economies of scale appear to be at a bit of an issue for them at the moment. There could be a lot to like about it in case I'm missing anything. But for the most part, I think that Mercado Libre is a hold. I'm not interested in it at this price, though. All right, Grid or Pave. Let's look. Oops. First Trust NASDAQ Clean Edge Smart Grid Infrastructure Index Fund. What's in this ETF, Alex? Or in this fund, in this index fund? Like, what holdings do they have? And then PAVE is the other electrical infrastructure. Global X US Infrastructure Development ETF. This is trading at a little bit better of a valuation, but it depends on what's in there. It sounds like you're probably going to get a little bit more niche exposure in grid, at least when it comes to data center development. Maybe. I'd have to do more homework on it, though. ServiceNow or value today? No, I think ServiceNow is a hold at this price. I'd call it a hold. Andrew, can you check DOCN and their performance? And then can we look at Dutch Bros? So JD, with respect to Dutch Bros is Dutch Bros is expensive, and Dutch Bros is a real estate development play at this point. It's hard. They have a pretty niche format, Dutch Bros does, and that's a blessing and a curse. And I think they're somewhere around 60x earnings, and their franchise model has worked pretty well. It's expensive though. So I'll watch it. I'm not going to be super stoked about it though, at least as it is. Unless there's like a big movement in interest rates, development costs come down or something. Dutch Bros it's on a watch list for me. DigitalOcean, agentic inference cloud platform in North America, Europe, Asia, internationally. AI and digital native enterprises build, run, and scale intelligent applications for growing tech companies. So it offers infrastructure as a service solutions. Okay. And virtual private cloud software as IPS address management. So what's cool about these guys? Like, what's exciting about them to you, Will? It looks like it's not bad. I'd imagine they have pretty good margins. Apart from Reddit, which one's undervalued today? TTWO, I think. Thoughts on BSX? Check their performance. Looks like they've crushed it. Okay, we'll go look at DOCN here really quick, and then we'll check out and then we'll check out BSX for our friend over there on YouTube. Yeah, not bad. Not bad at all. That's a pretty bloated balance sheet, though. Okay. Yeah, I had a feeling it was going to be different. Yeah, so it looks like there was an equity raise right here. $500 million inflow in financing on a company this size. That's an equity raise. 12.6% margin in Q2. It's up a bit, $35.4 million in net income. So we'd probably have to look at where they're making their money, like where most of their margin's coming from, what line of business, and what their plans are. Quality of earnings are probably something I'd want to know, as well as what the growth play is, especially with that cash injection they just got. So the recent performance seems good. It's a question of what their growth story is and what quality of revenue and quality of earnings are. All right, Xavier on YouTube says, check out BSX. Yeah, Boston Scientific. Um, this is so I'll eventually do a deep dive on Boston Scientific. It's gonna be a monster though. This company does a lot of stuff. They've got a lot of products, a lot of services. They've gotten beaten up pretty badly this year too. So there's probably some things to like about this company. The market's telling us, though, that it wasn't a buy the dip opportunity, especially after their Q4 25 results and their Q1 26 results. So something is there was a fundamental paradigm shift from management, I would guess. It's worth checking out. There's more obvious and I think higher value plays, though. Where do I see Reddit going? To my target price for Reddit's $235 a share right now. So Xavier, BXS or for Boston Scientific, it's worth investigating. It's going to take a lot, though. It's a lot of homework on this company. Can we please do Google? Sure. I mean, everybody knows what Google's results were. They've got a lot of off-balance sheet activity going on. Very, very, very strong fundamentals, though. Like with other hyperscalers, of course, the AI supply chain risk is something that a lot of people are talking about with Google, but they're also talking about it with other people as well. So the question then becomes, do you get in or are you going to be a little bit more cautious? Google's my second favorite hyperscaler. There's a lot of things to like. Their cloud services revenue growth was extremely impressive. Can you have insights on Deck? Yeah. Deckers Outdoor. I believe consumer cyclical footwear and accessories. Okay. Got it. Subsidiary design markets. Offers apparel under the UGC brand, footwear, running, trail, hiking, fitness. And accessories under the Hoka brand. Nice. And the Tiva brand. Okay. Whoops, I scrolled it down a little bit too far. Yeah. Pretty. It feels cheap. Why? Why is it cheap? There's no yield. You get a 1.3 beta. Year-over-year growth has been decent. Profitability growth has been okay. This, I would imagine, is seasonality. I'm not going to freak out at the big revenue and profitability drop from Q4 to Q1. I would imagine most of the money is made in Q4. This looks like seasonality. Their Q3 results would be interesting to look at. It's cheap, though. So that means one of two things, at least in my view. That means it's either a good opportunity to get in or it's a value trap. And the more important thing to determine if it's a value trap or not. And if it is a value trap, then you stay away. If it's not, warrants further investigation. What platform is that? This is Yahoo Finance. All right, SOUN. Yeah, Ollie, we can check out SOUN. Oh, yeah, SoundHound AI. I wasn't particularly impressed with this company's moat. The business model of what they do wasn't particularly interesting to me, and it's not a very interesting stock this year. I'd love to be proven wrong, though. If anybody has a good bull case for them, I'd love to see it. This isn't that exciting of a company to me, though. So, Ollie, you tell me what you like about them. Elaborate to me why you think this is worth looking at. How do you tell a value trap? What's a value trap? A value trap, here's a perfect example of a company that's a value trap. Macy's. A value trap is a company that looks cheap on paper. It's priced low relative to its earnings. You may get a beta between 0.5 and 2. So nothing too crazy as far as share price volatility. You'll see consistent earnings and consistent profits. And you'll probably see a dividend yield with it. So here's Macy's. Yeah. So relatively consistent earnings through the years, consistent profits. The balance sheet really doesn't change much either. with respect to our, asset to liability ratio. Might be a little bit of debt or something like that. Get a decent yield. So we're at 3.4% with this company. This is a value trap. And a value trap is a stock that does not move much at all. This is Macy's over the last 5 years. And what's especially interesting to look at is what Macy's has done since COVID. It's recovered a little bit, and it just kind of hung out at $25 a share for the last 5 years. So it's boring. It's predictable and it's boring, and the market prices it at a discount because of that. That's why it's trading at 9.5 times earnings. So if you think that buying Macy's is a good idea, you're probably not going to see it break out above $30 a share anytime soon. That's what a value trap is. Value traps they take some work to identify them. And sometimes things may look like a value trap when they're not, and sometimes things may not look like a value trap when they are. And so you got to know the business, and you got to read the filings, you got to understand it. Thoughts on Aritzia? Mr. Blackberry, Aritzia is a good one. I do like Aritzia. I did an analysis on them back in December. Probably worth another look, but if you scroll through my TikTok content, go back the last couple of months, you might be able to see it in there. Keel Infrastructure, Gujo, not a huge fan of Keel. It feels risky to me. This isn't. They're probably running low on cash as well. That means they either got to borrow money or raise money. That means if you get in, you're probably going to get diluted. Is SoFi a value trap? I hardly see it break 18. SoFi feels like a value trap, yeah. But what SoFi does, a lot of what SoFi does, is it acts like a bank in a lot of ways. With some extra bells and whistles, of course. And they got other lending products and that kind of stuff. But so far this year, hasn't been great. Hasn't been great for SoFi. The last 6 months, I would say. Maybe not quite 6 months. Last 5.5 months, its resistance has been $20 a share. Yeah, last 6 months. It has a ceiling at 20 per share. So it's going to be some type of event or macro thing, some event that would move SoFi's price, in my view. Thoughts on uranium bottlenecks? If I wanted uranium exposure, that'd probably be the move I would make. When will it break? If you're talking about SoFi's share price, Yusuf, I don't know. But right now, people are, there's a lot of bag holders in SoFi right now, and, it sucks to suck, right? Zoom, what about Zoom Communications? I know that Zoom has had a good year, no? Yeah, it hasn't been bad. Bit of a bumpy ride. So what's interesting about Zoom is they have a $1.5 billion stake in Anthropic, and I would imagine that they're probably booking a lot of what their income is to increases to mark-to-market increases on Anthropic's equity. However, I do need to confirm that. I do need to triple check that to make sure that's the case. Zoom's performance has been good, especially with profitability growth. There are things to like about Zoom. I need to understand what their moat is and what makes them a good business to buy with respect to the breadth and the depth of their moat. So as far as Zoom's concerned, definitely warrants some more investigation. Could be an interesting play. This is not a value trap. This is a stock that's not a value trap. Why? Because we're seeing volatility in the share price with a low PE ratio and no dividend. The management's not paying out cash to shareholders because they want to use it for other stuff. That's usually indicative of a business that's not a value trap. This is worth checking out. Any thoughts on Bitcoin's recent resurgence? Ben, I think that we'll probably see Bitcoin come up even more. And that's because the U.S. Treasury is increasing its buyback operations from September to November. They're doing at least $4 billion in issue. So basically using T-bills to buy 30-year bonds. The idea is to bring yields down. But if the market does not react well to that, that's accretive to Bitcoin. So I honestly, we could see Bitcoin come up above 80,000 by the end of this week or soon in the near future. I could definitely see it happening. I mean, shit, within the last couple of days, I mean, last week, they were trading at 62, 63,000 a share or per coin. Now they're nearly 80. Why do you think Reddit is going to be hot? Fantastic fundamentals. They have a very, very strong business. Really, really strong revenue growth. And I think the AI content licensing story with Google isn't over. Long Bitcoin versus long gold for the Fed. Great question, Dan. Me personally, I trust gold a little bit more. But I get why people like Bitcoin too. I think gold's just a little bit better of a macro hedge. AAOI, Joseph, AAOI is interesting. The optoelectric game is cool. Dave had a rough day today. What happened? Faces significant challenges following a $600 million equity offering, causing the stock to drop. So it's share dilution and production capacity, I guess, is a problem with them. Yeah, I mean, so this is a perfect example of a company that we may see movement on as a result of what ends up happening on Wednesday with NVIDIA's earnings. So I think NVIDIA, we'll probably see a beat revenue and earnings wise with NVIDIA. It's all about the guidance, though. It's all about what they say. So, I mean, the market's going to pick apart every single syllable of management's guidance and find out what that means with respect to their, with respect to what that means for the opportunity. It's a good swing opportunity for AAOI. I don't know, Anthony, is it? I mean, if you have this strong of a reaction as a result of shares being diluted, I don't know how that would drive volume in the positive direction. We're probably seeing oversold momentum. I'd have to go look at the technicals, but yeah, I don't know. Unless you know something I don't. What do you think Strategy will do if you see Bitcoin now? What do you think Strategy will do if you see Bitcoin now? Well, Strategy Inc. has had an extremely good week because of what's happened with the price of Bitcoin. With Strategy, their main game now is managing the treasury properly and managing their 5 preferred tranches properly. So as far as MSTR is concerned, I don't think MSTR is the most interesting part of Strategy. I'm more interested in Stride or Stretch, this one. This is an 11.5% yield, which has had an extremely good week. This isn't bad at all, especially what's happened with Bitcoin. On, a 12.5% yield, that's not bad. The Strategy Inc. has to manage its liquidity. I just posted a deep dive on my YouTube channel about Strategy Inc. So if you guys want to know all about it, go check it out. That's the same. Yes, Gaston, it's the same. It's the same company. Same with this. STRK, this same ticker. This is just a preferred equity tranche in the same company. Much more volatile, though. But how about the IPO of OpenAI? Stanislav, I don't think it's till next year. I think Anthropic's going to go first, and I think Anthropic may be this year. And if Anthropic announces their IPO before the end of 2026, you can bet your bottom dollar that I'm live streaming that 100% talking about Anthropic. What do you think about CoreWeave? DP, it's my biggest short position at the moment. CoreWeave is the foundation of this business is built on quicksand. And it's a house of cards waiting to collapse. So I did have several short positions in this company. I still just have one. I'm shorting it at $95 a share. I had another short position at 102 per share, but I closed that out, took profits on that. Think about SanDisk. Yes, and I think like AAOI, like Micron, like Broadcom, like Western Digital, SanDisk, the implications for what SanDisk's future looks like is going to be contingent upon NVIDIA's earnings on Wednesday. So we'll probably see some big movement. We may see some big movement, but depending on guidance for SanDisk's price. The fundamentals are strong for SanDisk, and it's not an insane valuation though. So is it a good time to get in? For SanDisk, I'd honestly wait after NVIDIA's earnings. And we'll likely see more volatility tomorrow and maybe Wednesday. Obviously, it wasn't a good day for SanDisk. That could change. Has AMAT hit its bottom? I don't know, Hayden. That's a tough one. I've been an AMAT shareholder for a long time. I like Applied Materials. It's been a rough couple of months, though. They come down from, like, the hangover since June has been rough on Applied Materials. AppLovin's dropping. Why? Homer, I don't know, but I'm working on my deep dive on AppLovin. I'm going to post that it's going to be a long form, 35, 40-minute video posted to YouTube later this week. Tim, thanks for the heart me. Appreciate you, man. Hey, can you look at Vertex? What do you think? Yeah. Let's go look at Vertex. Vertex Pharmaceuticals, I take it. Biotech. Okay, yeah. Transformative medicines for people with serious diseases. So cystic fibrosis, sickle cell, transfusion-dependent beta thalassemia, and acute pain. Oh, man. Yeah, so as far as pharmaceuticals are concerned, they're tough companies to do homework on, at least from my perspective, because I need to understand the clinical trial process. As investors, it's just probably worth knowing. Like, if you're an active investor who likes to buy and sell stocks, it's probably worth understanding how the clinical trial process works in whatever jurisdiction you're in. Understanding the science behind all of this as well is a challenge. Like, this is a lot. You have to know a lot about this stuff. So the reason why I say that is because I like to understand the business and how it makes its money, which is as a result of how it develops its drugs, its vaccines, whatever it sells. And knowing how that process works is important. As far as a pharmaceutical play, could be pretty solid. Me personally, I like Eli Lilly. This could be another play, but I need to do more homework. It's the first thing you look at when you look at a company. It depends. Depends on the company. NVIDIA's earnings are going to pump SanDisk. It could. It very well could. I could see SanDisk moving in either direction. And in fact, I'm going to pull up the technicals on SanDisk here really quick, because I just want to see what the movement. So there's SanDisk right there. Hang on. Let me pull it up in TradingView. We're just going to take a quick look. So here's SanDisk right here. So this is 100 SMA with Bollinger Bands. And we also have the RSI down here. I know it's hard to see. I'm kind of blocking it a little bit. Here, I'll move over. Just move it over. I'm not seeing a ton of oversold momentum, at least from the RSI perspective for SanDisk. So we may kind of be hanging out here at around 1,500 a share for a little bit. Wednesday's going to could change things though. Predict SpaceX price in 2036. I don't know. I can't read Korean, by the way. I don't know how to pronounce your username. Long term though, I'm bullish on SpaceX. Like, that far out, I'd like to see SpaceX be a success. What about Micron? Yeah, I mean, strong fundamentals. I think it's worth holding off till Wednesday. Thoughts on Zeta? Ollie, Zeta, it's okay. It's all right. I think there's more exciting opportunities. Long or short Palantir? Laughs After Dark. My research tells me to short it. The market loves Palantir Technologies, though. what's strange is that Palantir's actually had a down year, despite really, like, its second quarter results were nuts. The growth that Palantir has experienced has been very, very, very good. It is so expensive relative to its earnings right now, though. And I'm not a fan of the CEO. Alex Karp's a weird dude. They have had good success in diversifying their revenue streams, which I think is good. But at this price, I can't justify buying it. Zeta and ServiceNow have always been green when everything else is red. Yeah, and besides, a lot of people have, are morally opposed to investing into Palantir. I understand that too. I don't really factor that in though when I'm looking at a business. It's the market is priced in perfection with Palantir. So I'm sitting on the sidelines with it for now. Jim Halbert says, go look at FPS. And then Xavier on YouTube says, you see Visa hit a new all-time high today. Would you prefer Visa, MasterCard, or American Express? Any one of them, to be honest. They're decent. They're good defensive plays. Those payments processors and payment acquirers. I think there are other opportunities. I'm more excited in some little bit higher risk growth opportunities at the moment right now. Forgent Power Solutions. Yeah, I remember looking at these guys last week. This company is incredibly expensive relative to its earnings. It's got a $10 billion market cap, and if we look at its fundamentals, it's kind of nuts. Wait, hang on. Forgent Power Solutions is, it's priced at 276x earnings, and only 6% of the float's being shorted. On a quarterly basis, revenue growth has been decent. There's been some profitability, but you're at a 4.8% margin on essentially providing the systems in order, like the electrical switches and that kind of stuff for data centers. And that's fine. But they probably have a pretty messy income statement. And if I'm paying $10 billion for a company that produces less than 19 million in income last quarter, that's not impressive. And it's not necessarily because that's the company's fault. It's because it's the market's fault overhyping it. This is too expensive. So I'm avoiding it, to be honest. My opinion, what stocks the market's sleeping on? I think the market's sleeping on Reddit, and I think that the market's sleeping on Take-Two Interactive. Those are two popular ones. Those are bullish picks that I have that I've done deep dives on. I was also very bullish on Elf Beauty. It has since surpassed my target price. I looked at this business. I did a deep dive on this company back in around here in July. It was around 72 a share. I gave it a target price of $100, and I said, get in. And you can go see the deep dive video on my YouTube channel about Elf Beauty. I think it's a hold here. I think there's more room for upside with Elf Beauty. There's a lot to like about it. Is Axon undervalued? Ollie, I don't know off the top of my head. And what about Moderna? Oh, Beatrice, are you asking about... You're asking about Moderna. You threw an I in there, Beatrice. You said MIRNA. I think you're talking about regular Moderna, right? Yeah, with respect to it hanging out here at $140 a share, we could be here for a while. We really could. There seems to be belief that this will work. I shorted Moderna as soon as it opened last Thursday at like 152 a share, and closed my short at about 142 or no 139. Regardless, that was a great swing opportunity with Moderna right there. But the problem is that we could be here for a while. There seems to be serious belief that it's worth what it is. Good price for Elf. I wouldn't get into Elf yet. No, I wouldn't get into Elf at this price. Do I keep or sell CoreWeave? Adam, you sell your CoreWeave, and then you take whatever profits you have from that and you short it. You short the crap out of CoreWeave is what you should do. Target price on TTWO, for now, it's $285 a share. Thoughts on quantum computing? Is expensive or worth the risk? Ben, it's a little early for me, in my opinion, to get into quantum computing, just because quantum's very, very promising. Quantum computing is very promising in a lot of ways. There's a ton of things to like about quantum. And long term, I'm bullish on them. But a company like Rigetti Computing has a very ugly income statement. IonQ, pretty ugly income statement. They're forced to vertically integrate right now. So they're going to continue burning a lot of cash. I think the commercial use case and the viability of quantum computing, of course, will reveal itself in time. It just feels a bit early. Apple's always a good bet. I agree. I absolutely agree. Thoughts on now? Really bullish on it. I think it's a hold, and I think if it breaks out 135 a share, I think it's a good time to take profits. Despite my handle, I'm UK based. Your sessions are always inside of top job. Miami Pete, appreciate you, man. Thank you. One sec, guys. I got to text my wife my Chipotle order. All right. Can we look at STRL? Yes, we can. We can look at STRL. Sterling Infrastructure. I remember looking at these guys. They're the construction company, right? Yes. Yeah. Yeah, they compete with Vistra, I believe. So we're probably going to see pretty thin margins, but the backlog with construction companies, I think, is real. These are good, though. These are good margins for a construction firm, especially on a quarter-over-quarter basis. The 13.3% margin's not bad. Balance sheet looks like it's in decent health as well. Not a ton of short interest, and the valuation isn't insane. With respect to Sterling, I think what's going to move the stock price is probably something that's event-driven, and this is yet another example of something that can move on NVIDIA's earnings on Wednesday. Why are people listening to some realtor for financial advice? Hazel Raw, I'm not a realtor. I don't know where you got that idea. I'm definitely not a realtor. Think MTZ looks good? Could. Remind me why you were recommending Nike before. What was your thesis about it? My thesis for Nike, Beatrice, is this. They're pivoting models. They're going back to wholesale relationships. And they have experienced growth in all of their segments except China. They're having inventory stagnation problems in China, which is understandable. They've indicated they're going to get back to their bread and butter, which is shoes. And I think that the market is discounting the IP moat on its balance sheet too much. The brand power of Nike, I think, is some of the strongest in the world. Obviously, there are some things that it's done wrong that has eroded that. But I think that there's a lot of things to like about Nike. I think its management team has the right idea in mind to turn things around. Is it going to turn around tomorrow? No. Is it going to turn around next year? It might be a little bit. I think it's probably going to be sometime in 2028. That's be another Michael Jordan to revive it. Wilt, I don't think you're wrong. I think that's another good point. Do you think NVIDIA is going to be worth more after they report earnings on Wednesday? I could see that happening, Harvey. I couldn't, with respect to NVIDIA, though, I know that, this last week for them has just kind of been a bit rough. I I mean, they were above like 230 a share, I believe, or 220, excuse me. Yeah, I mean, they're correcting a bit. Is this like, you know, jitters going into earnings? It could be. They're just over $5 trillion market cap today. What will they be on Wednesday after earnings report? Probably not a ton more than that. So we'll see. Thoughts on owning Google as an individual stock? I don't think that's a bad idea. And Broadcom, the problem I have with Broadcom is that Marvel's more popular than them right now. And with respect to what Marvel's doing, especially the new partnership they announced with Google, that harms Broadcom. And Broadcom is still priced at an expensive valuation, in my view. Thoughts on Hyperliquid? Ross, I think MSTR is a better play. I'd get into Strategy Inc. if you want crypto exposure. Thoughts on Nokia? Travis, I don't pay much attention to Nokia, honestly. It feels like a bit of a meme. Thoughts on deep sea mining? That could be cool. Do you have tickers you want to check out for deep sea mining? What's MSTR? Ross, MSTR is the same thing as Hyperliquid, but it's Bitcoin instead. It's the same principle. It's a Bitcoin holding company that does treasury management for investors. Wow, up above $123 a share, or 22. Dang. Thoughts on Tesla? Massively overvalued. I don't buy automotive companies anyway. Nokia's sleeping giant. Mark my word. Well, what's to like about Nokia? Tell me more. Like, why is Nokia cool all of a sudden? My most owned stock, like what stock has the biggest position in my portfolio? Apple. Apple makes up most of my portfolio. Any nuclear plays you like when watching Constellation Energy? Yeah, Constellation would be my pick for nuclear as well. I like the idea of nuclear. I think that, there's a ton of things to like with what's going on with nuclear, but the problem with the nuclear is that its regulatory hurdles are going to be greater compared to something like, an NG-fired data center or solar. Gone at Celsius at 30. What's your thoughts? Lindog, I think Celsius is expensive. I don't get why after that bad guidance and disappointing Q2 report, it got rewarded for that. This movement since August 6th makes no sense to me. None. This does not make sense to me at all. It got very expensive out of nowhere. And while I'm sure you're happy with the profits you've earned off that, potentially it could be time to realize them. Like its divorcing, its fundamentals are being divorced from reality, especially over the last couple of weeks. I might end up shorting Celsius, to be honest. So we'll see. We'll see, though. It's expensive, especially for high margin beverage business. One share hyper. Do you think I should get into MSTR? If you think so, Ross, yeah. Thoughts on SK Hynix? I feel like there's still a ton of upside. There probably is, Ben. Again, with SK Hynix and like with other plays, the fundamentals are extremely strong for SK Hynix. Nokia's intro into infrastructure in the last 8 years, they diversified into telecom infrastructure. Telecom companies are pretty slow growth, though. I mean, I'll do more homework on Nokia. It's just it's behaved like a meme for a long time, and same with BlackBerry. Thoughts on MCHP? Let's check it out, Will. Let's check it out. Another semiconductor play. Yep. Develops, manufactures, sells smart, connected, and secure embedded control solutions to the Americas, Europe, and Asia. Operates in 2 segments. Blah, 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 blah. 32, 60. Okay. Signal microprocessors. Interesting. Okay. So this isn't directly related to. Yeah, interesting. Radio frequency gate driver safety. Huh. Okay. How has their, let's look at their statements last couple quarters. 6.8% short interest. It's a high valuation, even for a semiconductor play. Okay, this is why. Yeah, this is why you like them. Strong positive free cash flow. That's quite strong positive free cash flow. And margins are expanding. Yeah, they're probably doing quite good. I get yeah, so I get it. I get that valuation. Probably close to its appropriate valuation at 74 per share, $40 billion market cap. There's probably more under the hood though, and more to that story. Like there's probably more to the story than what we just saw. Worth probably putting on a watch list. This is it's like that's a premium valuation though. What do you think about MP Materials, USAR? Both decent plays, Dylan. I prefer USAR though, but both aren't bad. Thoughts on FN? Yeah, Leo, we'll check it out. Fabrinet. Who is this? Packaging, precision optical, electromechanical, electric manufacturing services. Oh, yeah, this Cayman Islands company. This is weird. Yeah, they do a lot. I mean, I'd have to go look at their books. There's a ton that this company does, and I don't have a ton of information on them. I've only looked at them a couple of times. It could be decent, Leah, but the thing is that I mean, let's just check here really quick. Yeah, solid growth. Balance sheet health looks really good too. Decent revenue growth and margins are staying still at about 11%. Yeah, this isn't bad. Looks like we had some big CapEx spend here though in the second quarter. Probably a decent chunk of that 63 million outflows at the 32.3 PE and not much short interest in it. I'd imagine it's probably staying at this 32 PE because of the margin, and year to date, it's basically been flat. I want to know what happened right here, though. It fell off a cliff. Well, yeah, this is probably pretty bad guidance right here. So I'd need to know what happened. What do you say about Nvidia earnings on Wednesday, up or down? Love to trade. I think we're gonna see a revenue and earnings beat. As far as what the price does, that's going to be contingent on guidance. The market is Nvidia's beaten revenue and earnings estimates the last 13 consecutive quarters. Like they have consistently beat so much that it doesn't surprise anyone anymore. Maybe except for last quarter when they completely knocked it out of the park. We could see that again. It's going to be what Jensen Huang says, though, I think is what's in the important part. Thoughts on midterm elections in November affecting the markets? I mean, the markets always sell off before elections. The markets always freak out a little bit before elections. So yeah, we'll probably see a little we might see like a couple of days of some correction. I hard to say. Hard to say though. You can always it's always a safe bet to see S&P futures down, unlike election night and like the night leading up to it though. Would the sell-off for Nvidia earnings Wednesday make the stock look cheaper than what it is right now? We don't know if it's going to sell off though, Brandon. And we don't know what the earnings numbers are. They could miss. And if they miss, that's much worse news than beating. But like I said, if they miss and Nvidia has a bad explanation for the miss, that's a big issue. If they beat and they have a bad explanation for the beat or some cautionary statements moving forward, that's bad news. If they beat and they have decent guidance saying supplies or demand's continuing to outstrip supply, Ruben Vera is going to start getting shipped out. Blackwell's getting deployed in all kinds of data centers. We're selling out of RTX 6000s all over the place. Then we'll probably see the stock price come up. Thoughts on SMCI? Looks good, but worried about the legal stuff. Matt, as far as I'm concerned, I thought that was all behind them. Isn't that all behind them? Weren't they cleared? I know they got raided, like their offices got raided. Thoughts on EXLS? Crazy undervalued and market discounted the opposite direction. Sure. Yeah, we'll go look at that, Marco. I saw you've been asking about that for a while, so we'll check that out. They did, but is it over? I don't know, Matt. It sounds like you may know a little bit more than me on that front. As far as I'm aware, SMCI was okay. Things for SMCI looked really good. From a business perspective, it looks like they were performing really, really well. EXL Service Holdings, Inc. Marco is asking about these guys. Info Technology, 65,000 employees. Damn. Okay. What do they got? Operates insurance, healthcare, life sciences, banking, capital markets, diversified industries, international growth markets, digital operations and solutions, analytic-driven services, claims management, premium, benefit administration, agency, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so they do a lot of back-end work for all types of industries, which is always an interesting business to run. Valuation looks interesting. You get a beta less than 1, which is nice. And decent revenue, year-over-year revenue growth. Crazy undervalued, Marco. You may not be wrong. And margins are sitting still at about 11% with about $600 million in revenue last quarter. Could be worth a look. I'd have to go look at the books. Kind of go look at them and see what they do specifically. They understand the back end and now are implementing AI. Yeah, as is everybody. The question is are they going to do a good job of it? Yeah, it could be worth a look, Marco. Not bad. Not a bad suggestion. Guys, unfortunately, I got to call it a stream. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining today's conversation. For those of you who are new, I recognize a couple new faces in here today. Thanks so much for joining. Had a ton of fun talking with you guys, exchanging investing ideas. Very exciting week coming up. This is a very, very, very important week coming up, especially for the bull market. There are big implications coming with NVIDIA's earnings on Wednesday. I am going to be streaming that. I will be live after market close. I will probably just live stream the call and maybe provide some quick commentary here and there. So please join for that. Please join. NVIDIA, in a lot of ways, is holding up this bull market. Whether it is the $500 billion effort to make GPU-backed bonds, whether it is the circular financing we see all over the place with OpenAI, with whoever else that, like with Clover, all these companies they're investing in, the guarantees NVIDIA is providing. All of this stuff is important. It's going to be the commentary. It's going to be the commentary which is going to move markets on Wednesday. The numbers may, but it's the commentary that's more important. Today's market cares a lot more about what management says about the future as opposed to how much money the company's making. So I will be here for NVIDIA on Wednesday. Definitely going to be there for that. In the meantime, I will be back tomorrow. As well. We're going to see the run up to Wednesday. Very important day. So if this is your first time, consider hitting the follow button because I live stream every day during the week. Usually cover the stock market, occasionally cover real estate stuff. So I appreciate everyone joining for that. And if I missed your request today, I apologize. Sometimes I miss it. Sometimes the chat moves pretty fast. It was a busy day today. So in that case, I'm sorry if I missed you guys. Regardless, if I did answer your question and you're like, Andrew, tell me more. Give me more information. I want to know more about what you think of this. I want to know more about what you think of that. Go to YouTube. Go to my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel has all the deep dives on it. I just posted my deep dive video on Strategy Inc. I just posted my deep dive on this video, this is it. This video right here. Go check this out. This all has to do with Bitcoin, and I posted stuff like ServiceNow, surviving the SaaS apocalypse. I did an ISRG deep dive. I did one for Rode Cosmetics, CoreWeave, Palantir, Reddit, Take-Two Interactive, Waste Management, Nike. Those are the ones so far. Working on AppLovin is my next one I'm going to post. So go check that out if you want. And it would mean a ton to me if you guys hit subscribe on YouTube. It would mean so much. But regardless, thank you for joining anyway, whether you hit the follow button or not. Thank you all so much. I will be back tomorrow, and we'll see how this week goes. All right, guys. Take care and have a fantastic day. We'll talk tomorrow. See ya.